Welcome back. So today's going to be a combination of things. I'm going to do some turning, I'm going to do some scrolling, I'm going to do some, I guess you'd call it crafting or artistic-y stuff. I'm taking part in a fairyhouse challenge hosted by Living Through Disabilities and Harneo Media. So I'll put a link in the description below for where you can find the details. And it's a challenge slash contest. And so I'm going to be turning this piece of spalted. I thought it was maple, but it looks like it could be oak. But I'm pretty sure it's maple. So spalted maple and this hunk of lovely stuff. And let's see what we can do. Let's see if we can make us a fairy house. So let's get over to the lathe and get started. Okay, I've got it on the lathe. So let's get this turned down. It's about 3 inches in diameter, long ways too big. It can only be 12 inches, so I need to cut this down some. So let's get at it. Okay, I've got it on a faceplate. It's actually just glued to the faceplate. And I'll keep it between centers for the time being, and I'm just going to start hogging some material off. See how fast I can go. Alright, let's get at it. Yeah, I figured it was going to be a little rough. Let me do a quick sharpen here. Okay, check my diameter. I don't want to take too much off of this. I may have to saturate this in wood hardener. Okay, I'm near final dimension there, so what I'll do now, I want to make a tenon up here, and this needs to be a little flatter. Because of how soft this is, I'm going to do something a little different. That's good enough. This is not going to be a fancy finished turn bowl. You'll see what's going on later. We're going to knock this off with a chisel. I'll turn around and put it in a chuck. It's really weird. Part of this I thought was maple, but it's not maple. It looks like oak, spalted oak, but it's gotten it went way too far. I'm not sure. I saturated the tenon with super glue in an attempt to get it to hold. I'm not sure it will, so I'm going to keep my tailstock up, and I'm going to get rid of as much of this on the inside as I can. I want to try to be a little more gentle here than I was before. Forgot to put my face shield on. Bad boy. Okay, on now. I'm going to hollow this out. Got my boundary set. I know y'all are like, what in the world are you doing, Bill? Good question. I'm hollowing it to keep it light. This in here doesn't have to be perfect or pretty because nobody's ever going to see it. I finally found some good wood. There's not much of it. Well, using the super glue worked because it held up. Okay, the top is done. I need to make the bottom the right size. I knocked this out of here and I didn't really want to. I may do something with that later. I don't know, we'll see. I'm happy with the looks of this. So I'm going to take it over to the workbench and see what it looks like with the top, or lid, or top, yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the windows and shutters for my fairyhouse. Hopefully this will work better than that piece of plywood I used last time. I milled down some hackberry to a 1/16 of an inch. We'll see what happens. Okay, now the tricky part is going to be if I can get the paper off without breaking them. What I'm doing is I'm burning the ribs into the mushroom cap where the pores go. It's going to take forever. Und one eternity later. if this was a better pyrography pen, I wouldn't have to do this, but I'm using black India ink because I want this really black under here. Okay, that's done. I've got drawn out where this needs to glue down, give me my 12 inches all the way around for the lid. So now I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to start working on coloring the roof. So I'm going to use white stain to make different sized white polka dots. And then I will stain the rest of it or dye the rest of it yellow. Cricky, I think that'll do. I'll let this dry for a little while, and then I will come back with the yellow. Now I'm going on with the yellow. And there's the yellow. It's not dry yet, but how awesome this looks.
I know, it does look awesome. Oh my god, it looks amazing.
So now what I got to do is I'm going to mix up some epoxy, and I don't know what color I want to use yet. And I'm going to pour about 1/8 of an inch of epoxy down in here to make the floor. So I don't know what color to do. I'm going to pour resin in here, and it's 2-to-1 for casting deep up to 2 inches. I'm only going to be doing about 1/8 of an inch. It don't tell me, so I'm going to do it by volume. 3/4 of a cup. Let's check. Very much. Check. Check. Yeah, but 100 goes for it's eyeshadow. And I just tiny bit of show. And turn it up. Turn all the it. Until it goes around. It's now going to add 2 drops. Okay, 4 drops. This. Color green. And turn it again. Yeah. Now I'm hoping I coated the bottom of this piece very thoroughly with 30-minute epoxy, and I'm hoping that I don't have any gaps, because if I do, this is going to leak out. Oh, and it's leaking out. So what I'm going to do is I have these rocks that I'm going to line the pattern. So for the path itself, I chose flat rocks. Okay, I'm going to attempt to turn a tire for a tire swing for my fairyhouse. I believe this is ash, and it's pretty hard stuff. That appears to be about the right size. Look like a tire. Now I got to turn it around and round this side like I did this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down and make a jam chuck. That's close. That is close. Well, I forgot to turn the camera on because I'm stupid. I got the tire swing mounted. I dyed it with black India ink, and I have painted all the edges, the border of this plywood. It's 3/4 inch cabinet grade vaulted birch, and I've Basically I just painted all the border dark brown so that it blends in better. And you can see I mounted a couple of ladybugs on the side of the house, and I've got a couple of ladybugs on the roof. And I have the door mounted. And yes, the doors open. Stiffly, but they do open. And I've got a light on the inside that shines down. The only thing I have yet to do is to mount this window, and I have to fill the flower box with some little flowers first, and then I'll come back and I'll mount the window. And this thing will be done, except for adding my two fairies. I'm going to put one here, and I think one maybe over here behind the bushes, or maybe on the cobblestones. So all in all, this is very nearly complete, and I will come back when it is, or when I need to mount the window. Okay, as you can see here, I've added flowers to the flower box, and I've glued the window in place. All that's left for me to do is put the fairies in place and put the roof on it. And take some pictures. And there's my fairy house. And I'll take some close-up stills later, and I'll put those at the end of the video. Okay, here it is, completed. My fairy house all done with the two fairies, tire swing, the doors, including the holly and holly berries. I added some flowers in the window with the flower box, and you can see the light through that. And the ladybugs, again, like I said, I'll put some other pictures up at the end. And to show you that it's within specs, this is a 12-inch Starrett rule. It's only about 11 inches high. It's 12 inches wide by 12 inches. So it meets the 12 by 12 by 12 specification. The mushroom doesn't hang over anywhere. So right now I'm going to step you back through what I did. I took this piece of oak, it was a half of a log, and I put it on the lathe and I turned it. And I took this hunk, or this juniper log, and I put it on the lathe and I shaped it so that it would look more like a mushroom stalk. It's a little wider, but you get the idea. Once I had it roughly to shape, I took my angle grinder and I finished smoothing by power carving the top of this. Once I had that done, I took this trunk over to the drill press and I hollowed out the inside. The inside's not the prettiest in the world, but it really doesn't have to be. I was just trying to make this as light as possible. Then I found a line drawing for these doors, including the holly. And so I cut them out on my scroll saw, and then I wood burned all the detail into the arch and the doors themselves. I made the little door pulls out of wire that I formed and soldered together, and they're glued in. And at Hobby Lobby, I found a fairy window that I thought was really cute, but I didn't want to buy it. I wanted to make it if I could, because I'm making the doors, so it should all be, similar. So I just took a picture of it, and I came home and I scrolled it out and put a piece of resin that Doug sent me from Pole Barn on the back to make it look kind of like colored glass. Then I wood burned all of the ribs in the bottom of the mushroom cap roof to make it look like where mushroom spores actually come from. After I got that done, I stained the white circles And then after that stain dried, I came back the next day and I dyed the roof yellow. And then I started gluing everything on. I put the grass down about a day before I intended to, because I poured some resin up to make a colored floor on the inside of the fairy house. You can see that through the lights. I mean, through the cracks of the door. I poured some green resin in there, and I was hoping, because of, I mean, I really covered the bottom of this piece with epoxy when I glued it down to the plywood. And I was hoping that that sealed any cracks. But it didn't. I had resin coming out in two places. So I went ahead and put a tape dam around the perimeter and just let the resin do what it wanted. And I filled it out and made it even. And then let that sit over 2 days to dry, because this is a real slow cure resin. And while the resin was wet, again a day earlier than I intended, I laid the cobblestone path. There was originally a limb sticking out over here. But in the process of turning, it was really jagged and really short anyway. In the process of turning and carving, I took it out. But I knew I wanted to put a swing in. I was originally going to just use a plank, make a 2-rope plank swing. So I went out, got this piece of apricot limb that looked like about the right diameter. I drilled the old limb out, glued this one in its place, and then I turned this tire on my lathe and dyed it with black Indian ink, and I hung the tire swing. Then I mounted the door and the holly, and I added some bushes in various places. Those I added the other day. Some of it I added after the resin dried. So I added some bush looking things. I added the window, got it attached. I added the flowers along the base. I think it's really cute. After I finished the roof, I stuffed the ladybugs on. Then I put the fairies in place, and there it is. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Honestly, I just really, really do. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. You know the drill. If you like this and you think somebody else might be interested, share it out there. That really helps us out a lot. I appreciate it. I hope to get some turning done again really soon. Now that I'm finishing up on all my Christmas projects and the fairy house is done, now I can start concentrating on other things. So remember, live, laugh, love. Y'all come back.